This is India, a country that is just as often loud, raucous, and wonderfully unpredictable as it is sublime. Home to 5 million street food carts, 10 million more chai stands, and 200 million horns. This is Meherwan Irani, former car salesman turned James Beard-nominated chef and restaurateur. This year he decided it was time to bring his Carolina boys to India. James Grogan, chef at Pani Asheville and Indian neophyte. Daniel Peach, chef of Pani Decatur and the Hindi-speaking veteran. And yours truly, Michael Files, tasked with filming these madmen as they hit 10 cities in 11 days. By planes, trains, and cycle rickshaws, eating everything in sight along the way. So sit back and enjoy the ride. This is Chai Pani's Cutting Chai. We start this episode in Dehradun, a sweet little town in the foothills of the Himalayas where we had been chilling out, hanging with Meherwan's extended family for a few days.
So we were in Dehradun and decided to take a day trip to Rishikesh with Matu. And it's really, really pretty drive through the mountains. We went to Rishikesh because I used to work there in a sweet shop. It's a very holy city in India. It's considered kind of the yoga capital of the world. It's on the banks of the Ganges in the foothills of the Himalayas. You really get a sense being there of what India must have been like, you know, a couple hundred years ago. When I first went to India in 2011, I went to Rishikesh to try and see kind of the spiritual history of India, and I kind of had romanticized it in my mind as like this very spiritual place. When I got there, a lot of the sadhus and saints and people that I met were pretty sketchy, and I ended up just spending most of my time working in this sweet shop.
Alright, we're gonna go in Gita Bhavan, sweet shop, go in the kitchen, sample stuff, meet my friends, see what's going on.
The sweet shop is owned by one of the biggest temples in Rishikesh called Gita Bhavan, and they make all the sweets and snacks and everything for the temples in pure ghee, and they also have a storefront and have a small little restaurant. And they sell kachori. Puri sabji is their specialty, which is little potato curry with some fried bread.
It's really good, huh?
And then a whole range of sweets, jalebi, besan halwa, besan barfi, laddu, all these things. So I was working there and just spent most of my time hanging out with the guys at the shop.
We went to the kitchen to see how they do this, and it was the crudest thing I've ever seen. It was dark and greasy.
It's pretty dangerous working in most Indian kitchens, especially this one. They have these giant burners that run off of diesel fuel, and there's just a huge tank of diesel fuel in the corner of the room, and it's piped through like the walls, and it just drips into these giant, enormous, really hot fires.
It's insane, man. It does not blow up. It'll burn down.
There's no gloves. Everyone's wearing flip-flops.
The craziest thing about this place is that there's not a single towel anywhere. All of these huge pots, huge woks. They take pieces of cardboard and wrap around the handle of the can, and then they'll put them on the floor, and they'll stand on one side with a long stick and just press it and slide it across the floor.
It's pretty dirty and greasy.
When I first worked here, the entire walls were covered with grease. I left for like a month, and I came back, and they had still this like silver. They had painted it, and I came in, I was like, "Oh, you guys clean?" They were like, "No, I'm just painted." Just painting it right over the grease.
Although the kitchen may have been terrifying by Western standards, the food coming out was awesome.
And all these guys live there on the top floor in this like tiny room. There's like 12 guys staying together, and they just hang out there for a couple of months and work nonstop, like 14 hours a day in this dark, like dingy kitchen, and it's kind of amazing.
For most people working in kitchens in India, their working conditions and compensation is not that great. For instance, my buddy at the sweet shop, Salwan, gets about $2 a day. He's a happy guy. I mean, he said, means like in 1 year, 8 months of work, 4 months of rest. He's saying the 4 months he's at home, he actually really just misses it here. He misses his friends, he misses the work. He said over there, you know, just doesn't feel like he's at home, even though he is actually at home. Yeah, they all take care of each other, they live together. It's fun. I mean, the guys, they live there, and it's like, you know, it's like their house. I mean, they wake up, smoke a cigarette, walk downstairs and start working. The level of technique that you can get to when you're doing something that repetitively is what I think really makes the food taste as good as it does. I became really good friends with those guys. So every day when we finished work, we'd all be like covered in sweat, and my buddies would come like jumping up like, Danny, hey, yeah, I'm gonna make the end I got to love. I'd be like, okay. And we go down to the Ganges, get in our underwear and go swimming together and just get, you know, all cooled off and freshened up. Those are some of the best times in India. So we were on the roof up there sweating our asses off, and we decided, all right, let's go swimming. Mikey and I were the only ones who had the guts to get in the river. Meherwan told us we were gonna get E. coli in our buttholes. So far we haven't.
After a refreshing E. coli-free dip in the Ganges, it was time to move on. So on the way out of town, we grabbed some insanely sweet fried jalebi, munched on some delicious sweet potato chaat.
Awesome. So good. So good.
And headed to our next destination, Missouri.